Good night and welcome to another episode of Capoeira in Canada. Today we have Mestre Reni from Capoeira Academy in Edmonton, Alberta, and he's graciously given me his time, given us his time to share with us a little bit about himself and his story and how he came to Canada, and and even before that, when and how he got involved with capoeira growing up in Brazil. So we'll hand it over. Mestre Reni, welcome and thank you for your time. And let's get to it. So, always the big and interesting question is what brought you to Canada?
Hi everyone. What brought me to Canada? It was just destiny, really. I had no plans to travel. Thinking about going to other city was already a big thing, But then the opportunity came, not just to come to Canada, but I got some contracts to go to Japan and Germany, and they all came around the same time. And it was an exciting time. My plan was go travel, go back to Brazil, and go travel and go back to Brazil. Then I got here 2001, November 15, 2001, and I have been here since. I started with a contract of 8 months. Then I renewed the contract for 2 years. Then I got my PR,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got my citizenship.
Nice.
More. I would say what got me to stay was all the bills I had to pay.
Yeah, they kind of get stuck with those, right? And
Yeah.
they'll hold you back. So, where from Brazil are you from? Where did you get your start in capoeira? And
I am from the northeast of Brazil, Bahia, Salvador. I started the capoeira. Uh, my school is Associação de Capoeira Mestre Bimba. I'm a student of Mestre Bamba. I didn't start right away with Mestre Bamba. I started young when I was 8 years old. In our school, we had a couple options, or you do phys ed, capoeira, dance, or soccer. Soccer was busy, so it wouldn't go anywhere. Dance, no boys wants to do that dance. Nobody wants to do phys ed, so I stick with capoeira. And I had, like this story we hear for most of capoeiristas in Brazil. What first took me to capoeira was the music. I remember I was young and I was me, my brother, my young brother, and my dad. We were at street market, and I just heard this music and stuff. And I asked my dad what it was, and he brought me to the corner of the roda to see it. And that was my first experience with capoeira. Then when I found out that we had it at school, I asked my dad if I could do it. He said, "Oh, you can do it, but you have to take your brother with you." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And
always the older brother responsibilities, right?
yeah, so I did it, and yeah, me and him we are doing capoeira since. And couple years later, I met Mestre Bamba in the Academy Pelourinho, and started training with him, and I'm with him since.
Nice, nice. Nice. So you said that contracts brought you to Canada and gave you opportunities to go elsewhere. Or were these work related contracts? I'm assuming.
Yes, yes. So what's happened? There was a guy here, Richard Tozak, amazing artist, amazing person, and he went to Brazil just to visit and to have fun, and he saw capoeira, so he started training at our academy in Brazil. he trained in a time that I was not teaching. There was another guy teaching, so he loved it, and he came back um, to Edmonton. He came back to Edmonton, and he found other people that was interested in doing capoeira. So they all got together and they created a non-for-profit. Richard is all like by the book guy, so he did it like, no, let's get him a contract. And so he went back to Brazil a couple times and he did a bunch of recording. Uh, there was another Canadian person over there, Justine Harris, and she helped with the translation because her Portuguese, and the time just fit for me to be available to do an interview with them. And after that, things just worked towards it. And then when came the contract, the option to leave, I was the one that had at the time that was teaching over there at the school that had more available time. So I was the one that got sent it to here.
Nice, nice. Right on. And that all happened in Edmonton, I guess, right?
Yeah, I came straight
Straight
to
to Edmonton.
Edmonton. Yeah,
Nice.
I
That,
was like, oh my
that
gosh,
must have been a
what
bit of a
happened?
shock.
Yeah, it was like winter on White Avenue. We went for a walk, and I was like, what am I doing here? There's nobody in this city. It's like nobody outside. I came from a big population
Yeah.
city, like it's people everywhere all the time. And I got here, it's like, dad, I was like, what the heck am I doing here? But summer came and I started to see people come out of
Yep.
the hiding places,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it got me excited.
Good, good, good. Um, Tell us about the history of your academy and how you got started here with respect to teaching in Canada, or at least in Edmonton. What prompted you to start teaching here? Was there, you know, and when did that begin?
So again, I started in November 15, 2001. That's
Ah, yeah,
the
everything all.
day I arrived here. And again, was that group that was interesting and have capoeira over here. Um, they had no experience. They actually, before I arrived, they brought a friend of mine from Salvador that at the time was living in Montreal, Mestre Careca.
Mm-hmm.
And it got people even more excited, and then they invited me here, so I got here with the job of teaching capoeira.
Ah, okay, excellent.
So my job was to teach capoeira, and I got here and I started right away. The next day we were ready. uh, and my life was always like that with capoeira. It's like
Go.
every day capoeira, 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 go, 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 go.
But you're
I got here
doing
the next.
what you're doing for your job is what you also love to do. So I mean,
Yes,
you can't
yes.
complain, right?
It gets tired sometimes, but as soon as you end the training or you go to a capoeira event, oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah,
it's like it rejuvenates you.
definitely, definitely.
The cold sucks. Like the first place I started, like I got baptized on the cold right away.
Yeah.
Like I remember the second day here, Richard said, "Oh, let's go. I'm gonna go to work, and I stopped by the grocery store. Do you wanna grab some stuff?" I said, "Sure, sure." And he said, "Oh, but I cannot drive you back. It's not too far though." And I was like, "Oh, no problem." So I look outside and I saw the sun was shining, and where coming from the sunshine, it's warm.
Yeah, no,
So I just
it's
walked from the house right into the car, so I didn't feel any cold. and then I have to walk back. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I got frost bites on my hands and stuff. And I
Yee.
learned that you cannot put hot water on your cold hand because
It's a tough
it
lesson.
feels like yeah, it feels like you're getting punished with a wood spoon.
Yeah, for sure. I know. In the wintertime here, when it's sunny outside, it's lies and mentiras. It's just
Yes, yes, so bright, so beautiful. So, oh my God. Then I went outside, so I learned that lesson.
nice, nice. I mean, not so
And
nice, I guess, but it's
yeah,
yeah, it's tough.
and in
Um,
the studio we didn't get the hit on until like a week after. So I
mm.
was like, you know, not training because everybody knew it that the hit wasn't on,
Oh, right.
so they didn't show up. So I showed up, it's like I'm ready to
Let's go.
train.
Let's
And it's
go.
like, oh shit, and it was so cold, and then bare feet, and it's like I got a good warm up though.
No, yeah, you have no choice, right? You
Yeah.
got to warm up hard in that. Um, what have been what have been some of your greatest challenges in starting and maintaining an academy in Edmonton?
Definitely the biggest challenging is the language.
Mm.
You know, to proper communicate, to make people understand what capoeira is all about. I think that's the biggest challenge, and especially because in capoeira we're so used to use expressions like mandinga, vacilo, mandinga, malandragem, and you cannot translate those words because they're not just words; they are characters.
Yeah.
It's the malandro. It's not word that you're gonna go in the dictionary and like, oh, okay, malandro is this, is this, is this.
Mm.
It's malandro is that figure that you have in your mind. It's a character that you see in the streets of Brazil. You know, and how you translate that. That was my biggest challenge, to make people understand the whole idea of capoeira, how to communicate it. I remember so many times I get so stressed because like, no, mandinga, mandinga, get that right.
Yeah, because it's yeah. How do you explain that? Because it's not so much a, like you said, you can't just, it's a state of being, right? It's how you're thinking and how you're feeling in the moment, as opposed to, it's not something that you can just explain in one sentence. Yeah,
No, yeah.
it's
It's not just the word, it's the character.
yeah, yeah.
I used to hear words like Uncle Tom, and I was like, they go there and they Google, and some people say this, some people say that, and then you look at the story, and then you start to figure out, oh, that's a character, you know, from this time, and the malandro is the same idea. It's when you as a capoeirista learning capoeira outside of Brazil, you're gonna hear so many things about the malandro. It's like you know, let them say it. I don't get it, but they'll say. And then you go to Brazil the first time, and this person just passed by, and you go like, oh shit, that's the malandro. I understand now. You need to see the figure, you need to see the person in action to really understand. And now you learn about the character, and they make more sense the word.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, from your perspective, how has or has it even has capoeira evolved in Canada from your perspective in any particular way? Like, is there
Uh,
any way that maybe since your time in Canada now, which is like almost 20 years, you're coming up on a 20-year
yeah.
anniversary. My goodness.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
It was already 20
it
years.
was 20 years.
November. Yeah,
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 last November. Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so like, you know, since your time here, is there have you seen an evolution of capoeira in Canada in any particular way?
Yes, of course. I would say this though, since uh, Canada had the privilege, I've always had awesome capoeiristas. When I got here, I met Mestre Barral, Mestre Lua, Mestre Curisco, Professor Nego, a bunch of capoeiristas. There were Mestre Bola, Mestre Idio. There were in terms of you know uh, uh, quality of the capoeirista and of their work was amazing. Uh, it has grown so much because those people, myself as well, we've been doing so much work to promote capoeira.
Yes.
Of course, Hollywood has been doing more stuff with capoeira. You know, MMA superstars like Conor McGregor and other people talking about capoeira, how they included that to their training and stuff, and it make it very popular. And people start understand more what it is. And it's still a lot of work to do, even so I've been here for 20 years. I still get people, I say, oh, I do capoeira. They're like, oh, what is that?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
still even here in like
yeah.
I don't know the exact number roughly of how many academies are around the Edmonton area, but I mean like here in the GTA we have I think I can count probably seven academies, right? Seven different
Mhm.
and that's different groups, not
Yeah.
even just locations for each academy, right? So but it's still in comparison to what is uh, the norm for as martial arts are concerned around here.
Mhm.
It's still very very small in comparison, right?
Yeah.
So getting the word out is a lot of work even today.
Yeah. And it took for people to really understand what it is because some people, they go like, it's like, oh, do capoeira. It's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know what's capoeira.
and
It's
just
like,
kind of
whoa. You
just kind
just write a little bit and you know what's capoeira.
yeah, no, I don't think so.
Awesome.
Yeah, or well, the one I get a lot is when I tell them that they're like, like, oh, I've seen that. Do you guys ever hit each other? Like, is there ever any contact? And I said, well, yeah, but of course, all the videos you see online are going to be of people playing, making it look nice as opposed to showing what it can end up being like on occasion, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But but that's the it's I used to get frustrated with that. Now not so much. When people come and say it's like, oh, is that a dance? I was like, yeah, it's a dance too. It's a ballet, man. You know, because it is too. You know,
mm-hmm.
it is dance, it's music, it's culture, it's martial art. You have to accept all those parts of capoeira, and that's the difficult of being like in North America. The idea that people have about martial art. When you use the word martial art, you don't think about boxing or wrestling.
No.
You think about somebody with a gi, with a belt. You think
Yep.
about Asian culture. You don't think about, like I say, boxing. It's like boxing is boxing, wrestling is wrestling, and then
Yeah.
you have
And
all
then
those things. It's martial
it's
arts.
martial arts. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Any capoeira is capoeira. You know, there's no way to do capoeira without the music. You can use capoeira to do other things. I have friends that use capoeira. They teach capoeira as a therapy, as music therapy, as a fitness. But to say I'm gonna do just capoeira, the arts, you have to have the berimbau, have to have the pandeiro, have to have the song, have to have the other people. you
Yes.
know you can divide in a lot of groups, but you can say capoeira, uh, hydro capoeira, capoeira therapy, capoeira fitness. But when you say capoeira, okay,
it's got to be all those things together. It's
it's have to go. Yeah,
yeah,
you cannot put in different groups,
yeah, I
and
know.
that's the thing. So I don't stress when people say them. Oh, I got people coming into the studio and say, oh, is it? Because I used to have a studio in a busy street that had a lot of bars and stuff, and people want
Yeah.
coming in and says like, oh, can I get into a fight with capoeira? I was like, dude, you don't need capoeira to get into a fight. You just need some friends to back you up. You know,
And go be foolish on the
go
street.
win or lose, it's another thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point. No, I remember that brings me back to my teenage years when I was studying martial arts, and our academy where I was studying was right beside one of the local we call them dive bars. Basically one of the uh, not so clean bars in Kitchener where I grew up. And yeah, the same thing would happen on occasion. You'd get somebody who's leaving and has had too much, and they stumble in and, oh, I want to fight all of you. It's like, no, no, just go, right? Um, yeah, but you make a very good point. You make a very good point. What you're talking about is, when someone comes in and asking if you're going to teach them how to fight, and then, yeah, anybody can go out and get into a fight, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can, but like, do you have a skill set um, to take care of yourself? And I think this is what probably a lot of people don't see. This kind of we're gonna go on a tangent here. I think that this is something that um, people don't see is maybe some of the functionality of capoeira, and they don't. And maybe there's something there for anybody who might be listening or watching, to find a way to show the effectiveness of capoeira in fight situations. Um, I remember in growing up, I had probably one of the best pieces of advice when learning martial arts when I was younger was that if you do get into a fight, especially if it's something that you don't do on a regular basis, you will get hurt. You may not get hurt so much if you have some skills behind you to kind of take care of yourself, but you're not going to come out of there like your favorite movie star unscathed, right? you know,
And
it's
it,
a
and it
reality.
coming from Brazil, it's a different idea. Like where I grew up, there was a guy that was a professional boxer. He was a region champion, and he was a bully. You know, and it didn't take too long for him to, unfortunately, to die.
Yeah.
Somebody got him with, again, a group of people came armed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my experience. Like I saw many capoeiristas getting beat up, dying, judo masters, boxers. So to get in a fight, you really have to be able to go to the very extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in capoeira, since its beginning, like what people don't understand, when you think about, again, it comes down to the idea of movies. And when you think about self-defense, and it was like, oh, what do you do if you hold it, you in the hand like this? What if you
The
get
what if, what
behind?
if, what if, what if, what if,
What
right?
if? Like, what we learn, I always say to my students, it's not self-defense, it's self-protection.
yeah.
You see somebody walking beside you, that's the mandinga. You go like, in Brazil, you want to walk close beside anybody. Somebody will like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they will slow down, they'll go around. And then if somebody hold you by the hand or by the neck, you're pretty much done. You know what I mean?
It's
And
too
if you
late.
think about the idea of the slaves running away from the Portuguese colonizer, they didn't stay to to wait until them hold their arm, because if it's one holding you, other thing will jump to you,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's pay attention in like going to we were talking about carnival in Brazil, and like
Mm.
when you're with like thousands and thousands of people around you and you see something happen there, you already move here, already move there, you avoid, you know. And besides, the other part is you're a trained person, you know. The I always say the best self defense, it's pay attention,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, be aware,
Be aware
you
of your
know. So
surroundings. Yep.
yeah, and your athleticism, when you're throwing kicks that fast, you're moving your body so many different ways. Of course, you're gonna have a big advantage. Uh, Somebody that don't do that, you know, and you are doing with many people that has the same, it's working the same ability to move even faster than you. So
Yes.
your eyes will be
You're. Yeah.
way more trained. Somebody in the hard throwing a kick or punch at you will be way faster than somebody on the street.
Mm.
You know, you're gonna feel
Yeah.
unless that person is trained too, and they comes down to who's paying more
That's it. How
attention.
much experience
Yeah,
does that person have? You know, do they have
yeah,
training?
and
You know, or
yeah, how
are they the pit bull on the street and they've got a lot of scars, but they have those scars because they've survived a lot of fights and
like
that
even
makes them fast
so,
as well, right?
and even so, with all that experience, it can come down to just a lucky.
Yeah.
Like I said, I saw many guys just getting knocked out, and they were like jiu-jitsu champion and stuff, and the other guy, oh no, boom,
Yep.
that was it.
Yeah.
So it didn't take the much skills from the other person. Everybody can throw a punch in and knock the other person out.
Yeah.
So your attention, it's your best self defense. And in capoeira, we learn to to do that. That's our experience in the hobby. You're multitasking. You hear what people are saying.
Mhm.
You hear the song, you hear the message, you see the person that's getting ready to do compra de jogo, so you're so aware of your surrounds when you're doing capoeira that you get on the street, it's easy. Somebody's coming close, it's like you see everything, you know. And those people are not even trying to be as slick as the capoeirista,
Yeah,
you
you see
know,
them coming, and
to
then you're kind of
call
like, oh, I'm just
in.
gonna go over here. You keep walking over there, and everybody
Yeah,
will be good.
the capoeirista moving around. It's like, oh shit, he's gonna enter with me. She's getting ready to
Mm.
come with me. Or three already came with you. It's like, oh, that one's just waiting for me to get tired. You know, you're multitasking. You
Always watching what's
interact
going
with
on.
the
Yeah.
other capoeirista. You interact with the people watching. You
Hmm.
have the pressure of people watching, chanting. It's like, go, 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 go.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's like I went. There was this school back home. It's so funny because it was a bar, and they would clean up this area underneath, and in the top there was all the tables, and it looked like a Roman arena. You know, people
Well,
walking around.
yeah, and the gladiators are all down below, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the people would get excited with the hall, and he's saying it's like a pitchy boo, a pitchy boo, and then people try and throw you through the window and stuff, and that intensity, you know, the pressure, and you have to be cool and collected.
Yeah.
It gives you such a big advantage in a lot of different situations,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, capoeira is just as efficient as any other. The speed you throw your kicks, the athleticism that you have, the strength, you know, the
Yeah.
agility, the attention.
I think you bring up an interesting thing about um, that like being in the Hoda, and it's always every Hoda is different. Every Hoda is a different experience. It's a different moment. You know, and for those who are new and who are listening, like as capoeiristas, we practice capoeira in a Hoda, and yeah, we call it playing the game, but it's comparable to other martial artists, if you're a student of karate or taekwondo or kung fu or whatever, and when you're sparring with your classmates. But in a hoda, it's the same idea. We're sparring, but it's an opportunity to be good training partners. But at the same time, sometimes we will take advantage of each other, and you never know. And I think what comes of that, especially when you're at an open hod or just at an event where you don't know the other person. You know, there's a good chance you're going to meet somebody that you've never met before. For instance, I was talking to Mestre Reni about the first time we met, and I remember the moment, you know, vividly. We were at an event in Montreal, and I was very young in capoeira at the time, you know, and I showed a move on him during the game we were playing, and then I saw this little smile develop on his face, and I knew better at that point. For me, it was that oh no second, like oh no, what did I just do? And I realized because next thing I know, his feet were flying over my head so fast, I pretty much just kind of sat down in a esquiva gelado and watched his feet keep going until somebody bought the game and got me out of there. But in capoeira, there's moments where like the sparring and that good training partner relationship can change in a heartbeat. It can go from being good training partner to being adversaries and really and becoming serious. So you're always under, you know, what Mestre Reni's talking about, that pressure. You're always on guard. There's that nervousness, and I think I relate this to previous martial arts experience where we would spar with the same partners over and over again, week over week, but the problem with that is we would start to know each other so well. We knew the other person's nuances, we knew their tells, we knew their habits, you know, their patterns. And then once you step outside the academy, you're running into the situations. If you run into a situation, you're going to run into a situation where you don't know the person's patterns, habits, and tells. And I think that's where in capoeira things, in what you were trying to talk about, that's where I don't want to say it's better, but it develops that being comfortable with being uncomfortable and always having to have your eyes open, right, and being more reactionary because you're not in the roda. You don't get to be comfortable with people's patterns.
It's the movements of capoeira.
Yes.
We have so much movement. I train other martial arts too. Like I like to train kickbox since there's no many capoeiristas around here with my experience. So it's good to go and be a student again.
Ah,
So I
yes.
go training and I always have a hard time with it's like they say, oh, they do a sequence and I'm orthodox. But then when the feeling of the sparring, I do what it's more uncomfortable to the other person. So I bring my left leg back, I bring my right leg back, I move around this, I move it. But that's the ambidextrous skills that the capoeira gets. And we
Yeah.
don't just do, you know, we are constantly switching, constantly moving.
Yeah.
It's constantly footwork. You have to reset, you have to readjust, you have to uh, make it fit. You know, the technique, you know, we try as much as we can create a formula for everything, but really it depends of your experience in the order to make the movement fit,
Yeah.
you know. And that's a quality of capoeira that a lot of people from different, not just martial arts, but other sports, they come into capoeira to enjoy. In this club, one of the clubs that I teach capoeira here, the guys that compete in martial arts, they love it to come and do because it's like the body moving a different way.
Completely different way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have to do this side. I'm just used to do this side,
Yeah.
you know. I will never forget. I went to teach a workshop with those gymnastic girls, and they were awesome. It's like, let's do the AU. And everybody was like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, okay, let's do the other side now. And they
Yeah.
were like, what? There's another side? I thought there was just one side.
I said, no, you got to go both
You know,
directions, right? Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And again comes those it's not better, it's not worse. It's the quality of capoeira, the interaction we have. The games can be when you do capoeira, we always doing not always, but most of the time, light sparring. We throw a lot of kicks in the air, you know.
Yeah.
uh, the magic of capoeira is it's already saying it's a game, and the game is to hide the fight. It's so easy when you go to a place and you already know what's going on. Okay, you got this event. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's a fight. Okay, the mind's already set.
It's simple. Yeah.
No problem. But when you get to a place that people knows how to hide it, oh shit.
Yeah, because you don't
Now
know.
it's a challenge. You don't know when it's gonna happen. And yeah, all this stuff. Woo,
Yeah.
Mestre Lua, de acrobacia, all the sound that minha lua gets you. I
Mm.
never forget Mestre Ballin. We were playing, he gave me this smile. I know, I got it. He's relaxed. And he did a meia lua and he did this skip all the time. His leg comes down in my head. It's like, shit,
Yeah.
I missed it. You know, like it's a game and it that's what it's make it fun.
Yeah.
Every sport is actually a game. They talk about MMA being this savage thing, blah blah blah. But there's a rule. It's two people. They know it's just the other person. It's very safe.
Yep. And
You know,
and
and it's a game. They're playing games with each other,
they're playing
mind games,
games.
movements. You know, but those are those competitions are practicing with the other people in the same level with the same skill sets that will make this person much more dangerous than a regular
Yeah.
person.
True.
If you have to be practicing with people, you know, uh, with this speed, even to improve your capoeira skills, not just with the idea of self-defense. But man, if you're used to play capoeira with the Lua, Mestre Lua,
Hmm.
you're gonna get out of many fights, no problem.
Yeah,
It
he
moves so
definitely
fast.
he definitely pushes our limits. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a blessing. Um, let's talk a little bit about um, this is always an interesting question I like to ask, especially to Brazilians who have come to Canada to and have established themselves as teachers of capoeira and have established an academy. Even if you haven't established an academy, but Brazilian capoeiristas in general who have come to Canada, have you or do you feel that has there been any or has Canadian culture has it had any influence on capoeira that you can see? Like, whether it's with respect to the community of capoeira or with what goes on inside the academy itself.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Capoeira, it comes with all it. It's this thing that already have everything blended in. So what we get uh, from other cultures, you know, it's other things like in my experience. What some things that I learned so much here, okay, was the professional part of capoeira because since I got here, capoeira was treated as a business.
Right.
In Brazil, a lot of us capoeiristas that come from Brazil, that come from where we came from, it, we learn capoeira as a passion. You know, I
Yeah.
train in capoeira for free. You know, there was a guy in my neighborhood, in my grandma's neighborhood, that he just
He just
got this space in this school and he said, I teach capoeira for free, and he had 50 kids. You know, most of now it's changed, but most of the masters, if you see, they all have other job.
yes.
You know, and they invest a lot of their money from the other job in capoeira. You know, I always say capoeira. Uh, the capoeirista is the one that do the most for the world to be better, because I never met a capoeirista that haven't done some kind of social work, you know, and you have so much respect for the community because of that. When I got here, what the Canadian culture taught me was the professional part, you know, and it taught me uh, if to respect even more culture as well, because capoeira is culture, you ended up get involved with the culture of the place that you are at. And I learned about Pernambuco, you know, maracatu and all those other things because I was hanging out with Contramestre Sapo, with Mestre Bola, you know. It's after I met those guys and it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Same thing with Mestre Lua, and every time you go to different parts of Brazil, they bring something from their own culture.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got here, I learned more about the native culture, and I learned so much about the similarity about the some of the cultures of Brazil, some of the religions
Mm-hmm.
as well. And you get involved with that community. You see how they work professionally, because it's a tough task to uh, work. It's a balance between uh, the business part and the cultural part. If you give it too much to one side, the other way
It
will.
will fall. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to make sure you're doing all those things right, so people respect and understand the capoeira
Yep.
in terms, because they will look at you with a different eyes if you don't have something set up like this. You know?
right.
Like I put like this, and they're like,
Well,
wow.
okay. This
And
guy's he's
and and
serious, right?
yeah, in Brazil, this don't matter as much. You know,
No.
here always when you look at a studio, you have to look for, you know, have to have a parking, have to be closer to this. The floor has to be nice. In Brazil,
You know what? Just give me a cleared space and then we're good, right? That's it.
yeah. It's like, oh, let's train on the beach. Let's train on the mud over there.
exactly.
Let's beat down the grass and do capoeira, which is change. It's a good change, and I think this change is coming from outside. You know, outside
Yeah.
of Brazil. Like I said, one of the biggest benefits that not just Canada but other countries give is the professional idea
Yeah.
of capoeira. You know, and it's bring back to Brazil, and there it's like, ooh, the capoeiristas are in another level in terms of professionalism. You know, it grows so much because, you know, it's way more capoeiristas over there, way more competition. But for me, what's really helped me was learning how to connect, how bring capoeira to different areas. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like how to teach to a native group of kids, how to teach it to, you know, a regular school, you know, how to teach. to another cultural center, Ukrainian, how to perform, how to do this, how to do that. So
Nice.
professionally, it was a big growth for myself being here in Canada.
Yeah, you earlier you touched on a really
Professionally.
an
Yeah.
important point about that balance between you get too professional and you focus too much on the business, and like you said, the other part falls, right? And it kind of you lose the the strength of the cultural aspect or the artist or the art aspect of it, right? You put too much attention on that as well, then you don't. It's not that you lose the professionalism, but I think you you know for me in
You
my
don't have as many people
you don't
participating.
have
Yeah.
as many people participating. People don't look at you with a in a more with a certain level of respect.
Mhm.
Not that they don't respect you as a person, but they just like, he's not organized. He hasn't got his stuff together. We're at different locations all the time because he's not established somewhere, or whatever it might be, right? So then you don't have that. You don't build a yeah. You just don't build a good following that way, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance.
Yeah, it's something that it took time to for me to understand here, because you fight with it, and because
Yeah, yeah,
it's passion.
yeah,
I learned it's like if you're here because you want, you know,
yeah.
and you get a lot of you get some disciples, but not many students.
Right.
And for capoeira to grow, you need as many people coming in. It doesn't mean they're going to stay forever, but you have to be organized enough to bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
so you give them the proper idea what capoeira is. Once they're in there, it's like, okay, capoeira is like that, and it's not, it's a challenge. I know it's a challenge to many capoeiristas, and people some people don't understand, and even here they will be like, oh, why does that person's like this, why they don't do like that, and
Right.
because a lot of the time we are just thinking, you know I'm a capoeirista, I don't care, as long as I'm doing capoeira, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna practice every day.
Yeah, I know. I've had a lot of
It's gonna
people,
practice.
a lot of people who, they've come to me when I just, after Messe Lua gave me his permission to start teaching here in Brampton, um, he, um, I had a lot of people come to me and say, "Why don't you do this, and all these other things?" And I was like, "Well, just like that's not really what capoeira is, right?" There are all sorts of ideas about, you know, business ideas, and I'm like,
Mm.
you know, but that takes away from that other, that other hand that we were talking about, that, the art side of it, and then the roots of capoeira. So, and then they look at you, they're like, but they look at you like you're a bit foolish. Like, why? These are great business ideas. And that's wonderful, but it's not entirely about the business, right?
Yeah, see, the culture of a business is changing too,
Yeah.
and this is because before was kind of like Starbucks style. Eh? It's coffee for everything.
Right.
You know, you sell the coffee, you sell the T-shirt, you sell the mug. As you're making money with everything. But if you pay attention, the idea too is the coffee. As long as they don't go away from it,
Yeah.
and
Focus on the
people
coffee.
start, yeah, any what to be learning, you focus in a group, which group of people, because there are space and business for people that are interested in the culture, in learning this full thing, uh, what that is capoeira. Every time you get somebody that, oh, I want to learn martial art, they will train capoeira for a little while, they will leave. Oh, I want to learn music, they will train capoeira a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, they will leave. Oh, I want to learn dance, they will train capoeira a little bit, they will leave. and unless you make it just a business for that kind of avenue,
Mm-hmm.
it will get people
Coming and
uh,
going all the time.
going. So the culture now about business is changing because a lot of the people now do the business focus in a certain group of people. Now that's the group of people wants to get to.
Right.
And if it's kids, it's a senior, if it's fitness, if it's martial arts or self-defense. And the best thing about capoeira, you can fit it anywhere. It it comes down to the person too, because you cannot. When I do my warm up, and I do the fitness part of it. It's the fitness part of it. I'm gonna put my butt on the floor. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna stretch. That I want to do that in the harder. So I have to know that fitness preparation is one thing. Capoeira fitness is one thing.
Yeah.
Capoeira is another thing. You can be make a lot of money doing capoeira therapy. You can make a lot of money doing capoeira fitness.
But
But you have to understand who you are.
yeah, is that really capoeira though for some people?
Yeah,
Right.
and capoeira in reality always come out. The capoeira you play in the roda ways represent what you are. It's not everybody that wants to get in the roda and get into a combat.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
if the roda it's control enough and nice enough to do a lot of floreios, flips, and acrobatics, it's like, woo, that's my kind of roda. I'm gonna jump in, and if you're a musician and you're happy enough to be on the beating bow,
Then
it's like,
you
oh, I wanna sing,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You're always gonna present in the roda your personality. What's capoeira? It's more for you.
Yeah. And
It
there's
doesn't mean capoeira is not fight. Capoeira is not fight. I see some comments. Capoeira. Some capoeira say, "Oh, this is not capoeira," blah, 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 because somebody threw a hard movement and they, "Oh, that's not capoeira." Oh my gosh, they don't, no, no, no. This is not for you.
that's not for you, but it
For
is
that part,
capoeira. Yeah.
yeah. And because these guys doing a lot of flips, oh, that's not capoeira. If this person, oh, that capoeirista, he just is saying, I want to see him playing the roda. In the past, the people I learned capoeira from, they always said, oh, in the rodas were like this. There was the singer, there was the berimbau player, there was the pandeiro player, there was the people that would come in just to respond to the cars,
Mm-hmm.
and there was the player, the people that would play inside the roda in the game. There was those capoeiristas that was just when capoeira was for shows, they would show up. So it was all different process. Nowadays we are all one, and in the past everybody was content with the place they were in the roda. They didn't say like, oh, you're only capoeirista if you play hard game with me, you know, because it was important to have that musician there playing the berimbau, like Mestre Gigante was. He was in many rodas. They play capoeira to Mestre Bimba, Mestre Pastinha, and many other masses. He was the berimbau player. He would get here, and in the roda was way more happier, way more energy
Yeah.
with him playing the berimbau. You know,
Yeah. Because
the
that.
roda, unfortunately, recently, a guy that was one of the people that I look up when I started capoeira was Professor Mãozinha. He passed away. The roda was always more fun when he was there. He was the boss,
Oh yeah.
you know. He would play everything, but when he was saying, the roda was
You
always
just
better. And
gotta.
the guys that like to fight, they would jump in, they would be more excited, they would fight better.
Yeah.
You need all the characters. And in terms of business, it comes down to the same thing. I don't have to do capoeira fitness if I don't want. And I like you said before, people will be like, "Oh, why you don't doing that? You could make so much money, blah 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 blah." But because the culture is different, as soon as you say, "Oh, my focus is to get to this idea. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I like that. I like that. There's less judgment
Yeah, for sure.
now because there's a specific group of people you're reaching
Yeah,
for.
yeah, that's true. Tell us about one of your most memorable or one of your most or proudest moments at your academy.
Uh, oh my gosh, there's so
I get the same answer right away. There's so many awesome moments. There were so many amazing moments, but
so
is there one that you always kind of when you go back to like amazing moments or proud moments that you kind of always one of the first stories you always tell when somebody asks.
there was a super fun moment here in Edmonton. Was batizado, I had a contramestre Mala, contramestre Sapo, uh, Professor Nego, Mestre Cabaça. My brother was here, you know, and we just went together to a club. It was just underneath the Capoeira studio at that time, you know, and some of the students were there, and you had a blast over there. There was roda de capoeira. The drunk guy got into the roda and he got uh, Mestre Cabaça gave a rasteira to him. That was so funny, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And everybody, it was one of my favorite moments. You know, the event I had here with Mestre Lobão and Mestre Corisco,
Mm,
Mestre Lua. I was so amazed with how humble everybody was. I went to an event in Seattle too, and was Mestre Corisco's event, and it
mm.
was there was like way more masters, instructors, and professors than students. There was like, you know, like 10 students, and it's like I was sorry for those guys, you know, and 50 or more of us, and I was, it was a lesson there. It was amazing to see all those masters with big name. They could be acting like they have the king in the belly, but they were so humble. They were amazing.
Nice.
And props to all those masters that were there. I had so many also moments, you know, like it was nice to meet Mestre Barrão the first time because when I was in Brazil, he was on the magazines, all the
Mm,
CD, you know, all those people. I had awesome moments with Contra Mestre Sapo. He used to live here in Calgary, so
yeah.
we'd see each other all the time. You know, Mestre Índio from Winnipeg, Mestre Bola, Mestre Lua. Um, it, it, crazy, crazy. But any, you know, really, my first batizado with the kids, that was something to hold.
That's yeah.
That was,
Seeing kids receive like going through a batizado and getting that first chord and there's giant smile like ah on their face. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's a pretty
Uh,
awesome moment.
See them sing the first time. It, it, it was, it was amazing.
Cool,
It was
cool.
amazing. It has been an amazing uh, journey here in Canada. You know,
Well,
the
let's make sure that that
trips.
journey keeps going and never ends,
Yeah,
right? So, which is awesome. Então, Mestre Reni, obrigado for your time.
you know,
So awesome to be able to talk to you because it's I think again like I was telling you earlier, you know the first and last time we met briefly was had to have been well yeah about 15 years ago and
yeah.
you know it's been a long time and I've been really looking forward to being able to sit with you unfortunately not face to face in person you know but this will have to do you know which is okay because This is a lot less expensive than a plane ticket. So,
I'm planning to go to Toronto
all
next
right.
year.
Yeah.
Hope
That'll,
everything goes well with the vaccine
yeah, I think,
next year.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
I go
Um,
hang out with you guys.
oh man, it'll be a good time. It'll be
Mm.
fantastic. It'll be good to have you. Any
I'm
last
dying,
words?
dying to. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing this. Talk about the capoeira in Canada. I I think it's awesome because in the beginning of the pandemic, I had the same idea, but things were moving such a different way that I didn't have a chance. And I always wanted to talk about because, like I said, I always thought in Canada had such awesome group of capoeiristas, amazing capoeiristas.
I think
Like
it's
all the masters, Mestre Lua, Mestre Bola, Mestre Índio, Mestre Parrão, and all his students over there in Vancouver, Mestre Peninha, when I got here, there was Tesoura, Ayaná, all
yeah.
any capoeira got, it didn't get here, Mestre Clisson from
Hmm.
Vancouver
Hmm.
as well in Asia Brazil. Like the level of capoeira was already, it didn't come in here
No,
uh, in the
a lot of
beginning.
very talented people started to moved here in the mid to late
Yeah,
90s, and it's just been very steadily growing since.
yeah, and it brought so many other amazing capoeiristas, like
Yeah.
I met Mestre Acordeon in Toronto for the first time. I was in Salvador. I I saw him in Salvador. I said hi and hi, but I never had a chance to really talk to him.
Yeah.
And it was here in Canada that in 2003, yeah, event in Toronto that I had a chance to talk to him and to many other capoeiristas in Montreal, in Vancouver, and
Yeah.
I would love to say thank you to all those guys that kept capoeira alive because being Edmonton a little bit far, but they always opened the doors for me to go and share, learning and share my knowledge.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank
we as Canadians,
you.
we owe a huge thanks to people like yourself who've taken a bigger step than most Canadians ever do. Most Canadians, a lot of us don't even leave our province. I mean, yeah, our provinces are quite large, but for people like yourself and for here, Mese Lua and Mese Bola, Conto Mese Sapo, and all these names that both you and I, people we know,
Mhm.
um, who have overcome a lot of them have overcome a lot of adversity to get here, and then to establish themselves, and then to um, share this martial art with us and everything about it, not just the martial art, but everything about it.
It, and
It's it's
I, I would like to say thank you to all the Canadians too, because you guys enjoy it so much that we are here too, eh? And I've seen, yourself and Camarão, Saci, many others, Pirata, that, they be that has the same love for capoeira that we have in Brazil, and being doing it for such a long time.
yeah,
It's amazing. I had so many good capoeiristas, people that even though they are not training capoeira nowadays, but I, I can tell that they still have the love. Every time I post some videos on social media, they're like, "Whoa, nice!" Like they
yeah.
slightly push them in
There's
other ways, but they still have
there's
the
something about it.
love, the passion.
There's something about capoeira. Like when you let it touch your heart, it always leaves like a little tattoo on your heart, and it never leaves, right? And it's always
Never
there.
leaves.
It's always there.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I'm very grateful to my Master Bomba to believe me and help me to get here. Okay, and yeah, all my family, everybody.
Legal. Tá bom.
Meu pai, minha mãe, Deus do céu. You know, all the Brazilian things.
All the Brazilian things, exactly.